welcome to round 2 of the Sigma GT Challenge. We're here at Suzuka. We've got the AM lobby popping off right now, just starting their outlaps for their qualifier. Looks like we've got 12 racers joining us tonight. Let's start at the top of the grid to see who's going to be here. We've got Skirby. That's going to be a Brooks or Desert Soldier. Drop down 10th place here, popping back up to the top of the list. We got Mr. Rick James showing up in the Haltech, the Mercedes Laundry, Coca-Cola GTR. We got Mr. Smurf here also in his GTR as well. Looks like he's in his Victory Pace livery tonight. Jesse Salas here, running his 911. Merch, man, thanks for joining the chat, buddy. I'm down here 4th place. We got another member of the Flying Fox Racing in here. We got Mr. Ridge Raider down in 5th. GT Rovic coming in tonight, also in his 911. Good looking livery that he's got on that one. I like to see it. Another Flying Fox Mustang here. We got Mr. Tom of the Tech. Cornstick in his GTR. It's a wonderful livery he's got there. We've already introduced to Mr. Brooks here. We got another member of the Victor Pace Racing team. Another Snick, Mr. Chip Reese, joining us tonight. Mr. Orfano, representing his 911 as well. One more member of the Victor Pace Racing team in here as well. We got Lucky Alpha. And then Rick James falling in the back of the pack, trying to find himself a little bit of clean air. Merch, buddy. Thanks for coming in the chat. So let's see who the driver out in front is, getting ready to stop or start his first hot lap here. And it looks like we're going to pop on board with Rovic, flat out coming into T1 now. The light on the anchors, finding himself a nice, clean line through there. Not going too terribly wide, it looks like, but keeping it clean, coming out 3rd gear. Got his soft tires on for the qualifier here. A little squirrely coming through the S, but keeping it clean coming through here. A little bit of understeer. He gets ready to come up the hill. Manages to keep it on the track as he gets ready to come up to the first of the Degner corners. Finding a little bit of the curve there, keeping it on line, gliding it through the second Degner beautifully. Well done, Rovic. Tom the Tech not far behind there, also keeping himself a nice line through the second Degner as Rovic comes through the first, or the hairpin now. Rovic just finding nice, smooth pace here on the track, it looks like. We're going to stay on board with him through the first lap here. He's the first one out, getting ahead of the pack. Let's see how everyone is tackling the Suzuka here. Narrow line there through Spoon. Might have lost a little bit of momentum there. But it gets hard on the accelerator coming out. Looks like Tom might have found a little bit more pace coming out of there. The slipstream in effect in here though, coming through 130R. Rovic hard on the anchors as it comes through the final chicane now. Keeps it clean. Rovic setting a first lap of a 156.6, an absolute flyer. I'm sorry, that was a 2-minute. I was looking at his outlap. I was about to be a little bit shocked and scared there. 2-minute for his. It's going to knock him down into 3rd. Tom the Tech taking first place with 159.2. And Brooks in 2nd right now with a 2-minute flat. Art, thanks for coming into the chat. What's going on, buddy? Laundry sitting 4th place with a 2-minute 4. Cornstick in a 2.6. Smurf, first one out of the 2-minute flat. He had a 2.023. Lucky not far behind with a 2.027. Chip with 2.035. Fano having a little bit of trouble there, looks like, in his first outlap, going 2.091, and Rick James with a 2.058 for his. So Tom still sitting up top there on his 3rd lap, still has Rovic out in front of him. He is gaining a little bit of distance on Rovic though. Looks like he's closing the gap just a little bit. Both drivers having a good time with the track, it looks like. So is Brooks here. Brooks sitting in second place with his 2-minute flat. Does have a little bit of traffic in the way there. Ooh, and he goes wide. Goes a little bit wide through Spoon, but gets it back on track quickly. The corner is notorious for getting drivers tricked up and getting them spun out. Unfortunately, there's no doubt we're going to see some of that here tonight. We still got Tom and Robic out front. Let's see what Robic's going to run for the second hot lap here. Robic, 2-minute 1, still good enough for third place. And Tom improving 2/10 down to a 1:59 flat. Up on board with Laundry here in the Coca-Cola GTR. His third hot lap's going to be a 2-minute 8, so not able to improve on his best time so far. Like all the drivers managing fairly well through the first corner there, it looks like. Stay on board with Mr. Salas here. That's Mr. 7. 2-minute 5 for his first hot lap. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve on this as he comes up to the final chicane now. Finds all the curve for the right-hander and keeps it clean coming through the left now. Heavy on the accelerator as he crosses the finish line in a 2:20.6, so it looks like he had himself right off that we didn't pick up on his previous lap there. Then we got Cornstick picking up second place with another 2-minute flat. So Tom still running nearly a second ahead of everybody right now. And Brooks, though, not too far behind with his fast lap. Brooks only 2/100ths off of Cornstick's time right now. Oh, wow, look at that. Ooh, Cornstick running a little bit wide through Spoon there. He's going to go ahead and go off and try to rejoin safely if he can. Good for him for letting the other driver through there before we got back on to the straightaway, but we got a 2-minute 0:15. Only 2/100ths off of that. I can't see Brooks' fast lap time right now. We'll check back in with that, but running only 100th behind off of that. Mr. Rick James, all these drivers here running within the 2-minute flats. And then we got Mr. Robic with a 2-minute 1. Hard on the ankles, coming through the first corner now. Managing to keep it on the track, going curb to curb as he comes up through the first part of the S's now. Still a 2-minute 1 for his fast lap time. Tom and Tech still out front. Cornstick in second with Brooks in third. Rick James in fourth. Rick James coming up to the final chicane now. Let's see how he manages that in the outside Mercedes. Dixie, thank you for coming into the chat, buddy. Rick James in the final corner now, crossing the finish line in a 2-minute 1, not able to improve upon his best lap time. Shown some good consistency now so far. Ridge Raider, still a 2-minute 1 as well, only 5/100ths off the second off of Rick James. Very close racing with everybody tonight. Looks like we're going to have some pretty good battles overall. Robic here. Robic still sitting in his 2-minute 1 right now, not able to improve on that on his last lap. Laundry down at 7th, Coca-Cola GTR at a 2-minute 4. Last 2 laps not able to improve upon that best lap time. Night Dog, dude, thanks for joining the chat, dude. Merch, appreciate your follow. Jesse. Coming around now. We got another driver stalled on the track right there next to the entry to the Dagners. Looks like the driver's waiting for traffic to go through. Is that Cornstick? Yeah, we do. We've got Cornstick sitting in the grass right now, and then we've also got Brooks also in off. I wonder if they still have a little bit of an issue in their qualifying lap here. We will have to put that under review. Rovic, though, going 1:59.6. Taking second place away from Cornstick, managing to just get across in time before qualifying ended. Just like that, 10 minutes is over for everybody. So Tom still running himself on a flying lap as he comes through Spoon Corner now. Also got Lucky still running through his final lap as well. Looks like Rick James is also heavy on the accelerator. Let's stick on board with Lucky here. So we got Lucky coming through the final chicane now in Victory Pace Racing Mazda. Lucky coming around through the final corner, not going to be able to improve on this lap time. Rick James going to be 5th for now. We got Tom coming through the final chicane. Who's that last driver that's there behind Tom? Is that right there? It's going to be Mr. Orfano. Snipe in the chat says, yeah, I see some pro-am times. You know, you put in the hashtag time in. I've seen some of these guys practicing a lot this week, so kudos to them. I've seen a lot of good consistency out of these lap times as well. So running down our starting grid, looks like we're going to start with Tom the Tech out front on the pole, followed by Rovic in 2nd place. Cornstick, unfortunate off on his final hot lap. He's going to sit in 3rd for now. We've got Brooks, Desert Soldier, the Skirb. Okay. He's going to be in 4th place. Rick James in 5th. Ridge Raider sitting in 6th for now. We've got Victory Pace Racing's Smurf in the GTR in 7th place. Laundry also in his GTR going to be representing 8th place. Jesse Lucky 7 in his Victory Pace Racing 911 is going to be 9th. Chip Reese also a Victory Pace Racing member in 10th. Fano the 911 going to be, look at that, 911 in 11. And we've got Lucky Alpha rounding out the field in 12th. His Victory Pace Racing Mazda. Excellent qualifying to everybody. We're going to go ahead and take a break here for just a second, and we will get back when the race is underway. Stay tuned, everybody. Alright guys, it's go time for the AM race. These guys do have false starts on here. The lights are on here. Lights are out. We're away. Tom getting himself a good start, pulling away in the VPR Mustang. Cornstick pulling alongside of Rovic now in his 911. Tom out in front, Rovic here in 2nd. We got Cornstick in 3rd. All the drivers now come in to T1. It looks like we got one driver going wide there. Looks like that was Smurf, but he does manage to hold on, pull it back on track safely. So all these drivers managing to get through a T1 cleanly, really setting the bar for the rest of the lobbies tonight. Good job to all of them. Let's head back out to the front of the pack. We got Tom leading in his Flying Fox Mustang. We got Rovic just behind him, the 911 Cornstick, picking up 3rd in his GTR. And we got Brooks, newcomer here to Sim Racing, sitting out in 4th in his 911. Rick James sitting in 5th place. Ridge Raider, 6th place, picking up a couple positions, it looks like, off of his McLaren that he's driving there. We got Laundry in the GTR picking up 7th. Rocket Man in 8th place there, finding several positions starting from the back of the field after missing qualifying. Rocket Man trying to pick up the inside of Laundry there, manages to hold on to 7th place there. Gets right up alongside of Ridge Raider. He's going to try to go a little bit wide there on him, coming up to Spoon now. He's going to try to make the end. He decides to think better of, gets hard on the arrow. No, but it looks like Ridge is going to go wide though. It gives Rocket Man an easy move up to 6th place. Art, you absolute maniac with the 5 gifted. Thank you. You are a complete legend. You just wait until you stream next time. You're in for a treat. Rocket Man picking up several positions, starting from the back of the pack in 13th, now in 6th place. No change to the front of the pack now, with Tom still in 1st, Rovic in 2nd, and Korn in 3rd. Laundry, though, not happy about losing that position, so he's going to come up into 7th place and try to make a little bit of a headache for Rocket Man now, it looks like. But not far behind that, we've got Jesse in his 911. Ridge did manage to hold on to that as he came a little bit wide through Spoon Corner there. Oh, you too, champ. That was awesome watching this thing one the other day with your commentators. Good job. Ridge Raider, a little conservative coming for T1 now after going wide through Spoon on his last lap, but he does have himself a little bit of a decent gap to Orfano behind him. Orfano in 10th place, a second behind Ridge. Oh no, Ridge having an off. Ridge spinning as he was coming out of the S corners there, it looks like. Finding himself a little bit of sand. So Ridge looking like he's trying to push a little bit too hard in the McLaren there, having himself a couple offs over the course of the last 2 laps. He is losing just a little bit of time. We do have a yellow flag ahead here. Looks like we've had another off here. Looks like we've had another situation here happening in between a Brooks and a Cornstick. Not too sure what happened there. We'll see what happens after the race. If anything has to come under review. Laundry now going a little bit wide through Spoon corners. These drivers start seeing a little bit of degradation of their tires. They're losing a little bit of grip already. SUZUKA notorious for just eating away at tires on any car that you're driving here. You can already see some of the tire wear happening on Laundries. I know you guys at home can't because of the overlay there. We are going to keep the overlay up just to keep everything balanced, I feel like. But Laundry sticking close to the bumper of Trip, has to get out of the accelerator a little bit as they come through the 130R King. All drivers coming through. Very close pack right now with the racing. We got Lucky down here in 13th, only 33 seconds off of the main driver right now. And the pit stops here at SUZUKA are going to be roughly at 40 or 50 seconds long, so he does have an opportunity to get himself a cut on somebody here. Picking back up at the front of the pack, setting the fastest lap so far with a 1:59.7. We got Tom the Tech starting out on soft tires here. He does have himself a 3-second gap though to Rovic. Rovic with a 5-second gap now over Rocket Man. Excuse me, guys. Rocket Man sitting in 3rd place. Chomping at the bit right behind him in the Haltech Mercedes is Rick James. Both drivers coming through the first Degner now. Hard on the anchors, dropping gears as they come through the second part of it now, coasting out easy and getting hard on the accelerators as they come up to the first hairpin. No real change between these drivers. Rocket Man still sitting about a 1.5 seconds ahead right now of Rick James. See what's going on midfield here. We got Jesse sitting in 5th place right now, 2-second gap between himself and Mr. Orfano, who I also believe is running his 911 tonight. Ooh, running a little bit wide there. Brooks running wide through Spoon. Chip Reese also running a little bit wide behind him. Manages to pull the car back in onto track inside. Slows up the traffic behind him though. Brooks slowing down, needing to settle the 911 that he's in, get back on pace. That's going to give Smurf a chance to pick up some slipstream here. He's going to try to make a move along the inside now. Smurf taking the inside line. Brooks keeping the outside line there. Smurf taking 11th place away from Brooks. Both drivers coming through the final chicane. Love to see that yellow flag pop up along the top of his display there. Managing to pick up a position off of Brooks. Only 6.5 minutes down in this race though, still plenty of time to go. Lucky, 51 seconds off of the pack right now, running a 2:02 for his first hot lap, but looks like he is struggling a little bit right now to get across the line. A 2:02. Looked like he had too good of a first out lap, it looks like. Running a 2:31, so it's going to probably be the reason why he was dropping down off of the pack now. But like I said, only 7 minutes now gone in this race. Plenty of time for him to catch up, pick up some positions with the field. Speaking of the field, let's head back to the top. Tom the Tech the comfortable lead out in front on his soft tires, 5 seconds ahead of Rovic, also on his soft tires. Sitting in a nice little gap, 5 seconds himself ahead of Rocket Man, who's managed to pull ahead of Rick James a little bit now. Last we checked with these two drivers, Rick was only a second and a half behind, but now Rick falling off a little bit. 3.5 seconds now separating these two drivers as Rocket Man comes out of Spoon Corner now onto the back straight. Rick James sitting in fourth, growing his gap to Jesse behind him now up to a 4-second gap. Jesse sitting in 5th place. Nearly 2 seconds separating him and Orfano. Orfano 6th place with a 3-second gap separating himself and Chip with a 2-second gap. Now looks like we've got Ridge chopping a bit on Laundry right now. Let's go ahead and hop on board with Ridge Raider as both these drivers come across the start-finish line onto the main straight. Ridge Raider really revving out that McLaren, try to pick up a little bit of the gap there between himself and Laundry. Gets out of it though before both drivers head into the first corner now. Ridge looking like he's finding a little bit better grip and a little bit better pace through the S's than Laundry. Laundry pushing his GTR wide. That's going to give Ridge a great opportunity to close the gap even more as both drivers get ready to head into the first of the Degner corners. Let's get back into the spectate cam here. Hop on board with Laundry as he comes through the second Degner now. Almost going a little bit wide there. Manages to hold on. Keeps it on the track as the drivers come up to the hairpin now. Ridge, a little bit of a tap on Laundry there. Ridge going to go ahead and slow down, let Laundry take position back. But that is going to give Brooks an opportunity to catch up to both these drivers here. So Laundry with a little bit of misfortune and good fortune. He was tapped into the rear coming up through the hairpin. Ridge Raider will give the position back since we were tapped into, giving Brooks the opportunity to catch up and become a problem for Ridge now. Looks like Ridge also finding a little bit of pace there now. 1 second separating himself and Brooks. Got Cornstick dropping down into 11th. Soft tires over halfway worn already 10 minutes through this race. Tires aren't going to last for too many more laps now. We'll see how he's doing with fuel here in a little bit as well. 20-second gap separating himself and Mr. Smurf. Only 2 seconds separating him and Lucky. So Lucky starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Taking advantage of some of the misfortune of some of the other drivers now. Starting to close that delta between himself and Mr. Smurf. Let's stick on board with Lucky here as Lucky comes down up to the final chicane. Keeping this move in the VTR Mazda comes around the final corner across the start-finish line. 3 seconds now separating himself and Smurf. Still no change at the top of the leaderboard so far. We've got Tom Patek out in front, 6-second gap now, which is just ever increasing between himself and Mr. GT Rovic. It is 9-11, 5 seconds though still separating these two drivers, Rovic and Rocket Man. Rocket Man in his Jaguar with consistent 2-minute lap times. Rocket Man, one of the few drivers here, only opting for the medium tire off the start of the race, running a little bit wide through Spoon, but managing to keep it curb to curb there. You can see a little bit of understeer eking out. He kept on the accelerator coming through the half part of Spoon. Now coming down the back straight as he gets ready to come up their car. Rocket Man coming through the King. Does get out of it just a little bit. Those worn medium tires starting to show their lack of grip a little bit more. Hard on the anchors as he comes through the final chicane now. Rear end of the car swirling just a little bit, but holds on. Heavy on the accelerator coming out of the final corner now, setting himself, what do you know, another 2-minute lap time. Consistency wins races, and Rocket Man showing excellent consistency tonight, sitting on the podium so far in third place with 12 points down in this race. Rick James sitting in fourth place now, 2 seconds separating himself and Jesse. I do feel like that gap was a little bit larger the last time we checked in. Rick getting a little bit swirly there, trying to find a little bit better line coming through the first corner there. Does manage to find it, getting hard on the accelerator out of into the first part of the S's. Still 2-second gap separating these drivers, but we do have Mr. Orfano starting to close the gap on Jesse. 1 second separating these drivers in both their 911s. Let's go ahead, let's take out on board with Mr. Orfano here as he comes through the first part of the Degners now as he chases down Jesse. Orfano closing that gap now, 1 second down to 4/10 of a second, just to the one sector alone. Getting out of the accelerator just a little bit, doesn't want to pick up any extra air and going right into the rear end of Jesse and punting him off track there. Does give up a little bit of that delta, but still well within slipstream and attack range of Jesse now, as both drivers get ready to come up to the spoon corner. Easy on the brakes, both drivers coasting the 911s through the last part of the spoon corner now. Orfano really trying to close that gap again. Want to get as close as he can as both drivers come along to the back straight now up to 130R. Orfano's soft tires halfway more, picking up a little bit of grass there off the accelerator. Manages to keep it clean through the aero wash there as both drivers come up to the final chicane now. So no moves on Jesse here. 3/10 of a second separating these drivers. Orfano finding a little bit better grip and finding the slipstream there. Rovic in the pits. Rovic already needed to change out his soft tires. It's going to give Rocket Man an opportunity to move up into second. Orfano takes a peek up the inside of Jesse, thinks better of it, slots in right behind him as both drivers come through the first corner now. Still Jesse in fourth, Orfano in fifth, less than a half second separating these two drivers. Jesse getting onto the brakes just a little bit, coming through the middle part of the S's. Just slow him down, that gap really closing, going a little bit wide, coming through the last part of the S's now as both drivers get ready to go up the hill to the left. Orfano hard on the accelerator, thinking about making a move on the inside, doesn't. Jesse still sitting out in fourth place. We got Orfano in fifth. Both drivers once again bumper to bumper as they come through the first part and the second part of the Degner corners now. Both drivers coasting out. Orfano really trying to find any opportunity he can to get around Jesse. Really starting to eat through those soft tires now, nearly 2/3 of the way gone. Orfano once again letting off the accelerator before going into a hairpin. Doesn't want to pick up too much aero wash as he comes in there and might touch bumpers with Jesse there. Both drivers come up the spoon corner now. Jesse still in fourth, Orfano still in fifth. We start seeing Rick James pop up in some of the camera shots now as well. Orfano still not able to close that gap. 0.6 of a second. Both drivers come through 130R now. Orfano just coasting it through, letting the aero wash of Jesse ahead go ahead and pull him along through the corner. Orfano backing out of the fight for now, it looks like. He's going to go ahead and go into the pits, swap out soft tires early. That's going to give Jesse a little bit of breathing room now. He can go ahead and relax and try to do a little bit of tire saving on the medium tires that he was on. Very impressive to use. Jesse. Rick James still sitting up in third place, also on the medium tire. Got a 12-second gap, though, between himself and second place. Rocket Man moving up into second place after Rovic went into the pits for new tires. 11 seconds separating him and Tom. Tom running consistent 2 minute and 1:59 lap times. Nearly 12 seconds separating him and Rocket Man. Let's check back in with the middle of the field here. We've got Chip Reese moving himself up into fifth place. Dempsey, thanks for coming around. Have a good night, buddy. Always appreciate you checking in. Chip Reese coming out of the S's now. Coming up to the first of the Degners. And we got a yellow flag ahead. Rick James catching a little bit of grass, it looks like, coming out of the Degner corners. That's going to drop him down a couple positions. A little bit of an unsafe re-entry right there. Didn't know if he didn't see Rovic coming in behind him. No contact made between either of the drivers, though. So Rick James managing to get back on track quickly, but does lose a couple positions there. That's going to give Jesse the opportunity to move up into third, and that moves Chip Reese up into fourth, Rovic up into fifth. Rick James dropping down to sixth place, still 7-8 second gap separating himself. And Hornstick dropping in seventh place now. Soft tires completely gone. Still running underneath just a little bit, half tank I would say, but front soft tires completely worn out, completely gone. He absolutely has to pit when he comes through the final chicane here. So Ridge Raider going to pick up a couple positions, or going to pick up positions here, move up into seventh. His medium tire still about halfway. He's still good to go for a little while in this race right now. Orfano also coming through at 130R right now, having already pitted, getting a fresh tank of fuel and some new shoes for his 911. Orfano coming through the final chicane now. He's going to pick up a position as Cornsticks in the pit, as will Brooks. Brooks on the soft tire, he might pit here as well. Looks like he does. So Laundry having pitted earlier in the race on new soft tires, now going to pick up a couple positions, while these other two are in the pits now. And GT7 forcing me to go the other way here. Lucky. Ooh, unlucky for Lucky, also running on the soft tire. He's going to have to go in and go to the pits now. So Lucky not able to pick up a cut on anybody. Checking back in with the front of pack here. We've got Tom the Tech on his soft tires. Soft tires looking just about as bad. Gonna have to go ahead and maybe pit here. He might push them one more lap though. Let's see. Let's hold on to him as he comes through the final chicane now. So Tom straight into the pits. He's going to go ahead and get rid of those worn softs. Rocket Man still on the medium tires as he comes through the final chicane now, starting to pick up time as Tom's in the pits. Let's see what he's going to do. Rocket Man's going to stay out. That's going to lock Rocket Man up one position into first. Jesse also on the medium tire. A little bit of a wiggle, catching the curb, coming through the final chicane there. A little bit of understeer coming through the final half. But with over a quarter tank and over a quarter of his medium tires left, I would say, he's going to go ahead and stay out as well. Yeah, Tom, a little bit of an issue coming into the pit lane. It looks like GT thinks he might have crossed the line, dished him out a 3-second penalty. Tom not going to be able to hold on to that P2 if Jesse can manage to stick to his bumper throughout this lap. But as it stands right now, Tom in second place, Jesse hot on his heels behind in third, 10 seconds separating himself, and Victory Pace Racing's Chip Reese down in fourth. Chip still with about a quarter of his soft tire left, doing very well with his tire management. Also running about a quarter tank of fuel. 202s, 203s for his lap time, so a little bit slower, but running consistently and keeping himself in fourth place. We do have Rovic chomping a bit behind him, making almost 0.2 of a second off of that delta through the Degners alone. Both these drivers coming up to the hairpin now. Petey Snow, thank you for the follow, buddy. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you. Let's hop on board with Rovic here as both drivers come out of the hairpin up to Spoon Corner now. Rovic only 0.3 of a second off of Chip Reese as they both go in. Rovic making a move up the inside through Spoon Corner. takes P4 away from Chip. Chip going just a little bit too wide through Spoon there. Nothing he can do about it. Rovic finding the grip on that inside line through Spoon corners. Both drivers come up through the 130R now. So Rovic making his move through Spoon corner, taking P4 away, dropping Chip down into 5th. And Chip's going to go ahead, accept defeat, and move into the pits to pick up new tires, while Rovic's going to go ahead and move on with his freshly minted mediums that he's put on. Snipe, dude, I appreciate your commenting, or your comment, buddy. Thank you. I'm sitting here reading you say the word commentating. I'm about to say it. You know, I love doing this. I love the racing, and I do it for you guys too. You guys come out and race. You all deserve to have a great show put on, and you guys put on a hell of a show for me. So, speaking of a good show, it looks like Rocket Man's medium tires starting to give way on him there. Those 2-minute lap times starting to give way to 2:01s and 2:02s now. Just a sliver of grip remaining in those tires. Still running just a little bit under a quarter tank of fuel, though. He's got an 18-second gap ahead of himself and Jesse, who's moved himself up into P2 now. Tom the Tech not far behind in at P3, having served his penalty. Tom hot on the bumper of Jesse now, as both these drivers come out of the hairpin. They get ready to come into Spoon corner. Let's see if we see another move happen here like we did on the last lap. Drivers hard on the anchors as they enter Spoon corner. Tom pushing just a little bit wider than Jesse, but getting in line as both drivers come out. Tom still on the bumper of Jesse, hopping on board with him as he makes his move in the slipstream, taking the inside line on the back straight. That's going to move Tom up into 2nd place. Nothing's going to be able to do about it there. Thanks, GT, for that hug. Tom moving up into 2nd place through the slipstream. Jesse sliding in behind him. Both drivers come through the final hairpin now. To Tom, 2nd place, Jesse in 3rd. But both drivers now looks like they're going to pick up the position as Rocket Man went into the pits to change out his tires. So Tom, with his early pit, getting himself an undercut on everybody, moving back up into P1, 25 minutes through this race. Jesse moving himself up into P2 now, with a 9-second gap separating himself with him and Rocket Man. Rocket Man coming out in 3rd from the pits, just ahead of Rovic. Rovic putting on a good show tonight with his race as well, sitting in 4th place with an excellent move that he had made earlier here. Rovic, 4th place, 22 seconds, separating himself and Mr. Orfano. Orfano having pitted, got medium tires on now. Looks like Orfano's running some pretty consistent laps as well. 2:01s, 2:02s there. 8 seconds separating himself in Laundry. We haven't checked in with him in a little bit. It looks like we checked in with him and just in time as Chip Reese looks like he's going to start mounting his attack as both drivers come out of the S's now. Laundry, 2/10 of loose, having himself personal best. Chip Reese really hammering that McLaren through the left-hander there, kicking up some dust. Both drivers entering the first part of the Degner corners now. Laundry soft tires, screaming for dear life as he holds on and coasts it through the 2nd part of the Degners. Chip still less than 1 second behind them. Both drivers now coming up to the hairpin corner. Chip hard on the anchors, late on the brakes, trying to close that gap to himself and Orfano. I'm sorry, to Laundry. He does 0.6 of a second now separating him. It was 1 second before they're going into the hairpin. Hop back on board with Chip Reese. Spoon corner seems to be the place where the action is tonight in the AM lobby. Art, are you still in chat there for me? So Chip 0.6 of a second behind, falling into slipstream range as both drivers get ready to come to 130R now. Chip letting out of it a little bit, doesn't want to pick up too much aero wash from Laundry as both drivers come up to the final chicane. Chip getting all over the bumper. A little squirrely as he comes through the final chicane there. He's going to lose all that hard work that he had done all on his previous lap. His Laundry, it gets away cleanly through the final chicane. Chip going to have to reset his McLaren. And he's going to have to come back and fight another day. Moving back up front now there. Still have Orfano sitting in 5th. Rovic in a 4th place. 5-second gap separating himself and Rocket Man. Rocket Man in 3rd place in his Jaguar there. Only a 2-second gap separating himself and Mr. Jesse Salas in the 911 there. And Tom putting on a great show of consistency here. 7 seconds ahead of the pack now, sitting in a 1st place where he has been for most of the night. Checking in now with the rest of the field, 13th last place, we've got Lucky Alpha. Lucky recently picking himself up a new set of medium tires, 8 seconds separating himself and Brooks. Brooks also picking up a fresh set of mediums within the last few laps. He's got himself though at 20. Oh, commentator's curse as we pick up Brooks. Brooks sliding through the first corner there. Gentlemanly thing to do though, letting Lucky through, giving Lucky the chance to pick up a position there. Moving up into 12th, that's going to drop Brooks down to the bottom of the field. So bad luck for Brooks this week, just picked him up, spinning through the first part of the corner there, but gets himself collected, dusts himself off, puts it back on track, and he starts driving again. Tom still sitting out in 1st place, picking up a little bit of a delta now. 9 seconds separating him and Rocket Man. Rocket Man 2nd place, making that move around Jesse, who went into the pits. Jesse almost running out of fuel there, pitting just in time. We got Rovic sitting in a P3, Orfano in P5 as he comes across the start-finish line now, setting himself a personal best lap time as well. The 2:01.4. And picking himself up P3 is Orfano. Sorry, Orfano picking himself up P4. Jesse coming out on the pits on a fresh set of soft tires. 3 seconds separating these drivers, no doubt with the next lap or two. Jesse's going to try to mount an attack on Orfano. We will check back in with them. Laundry sitting on very worn soft tires, running his own race here in P6. 6 seconds separating him and Jesse, with 8 seconds separating himself and Rick James. Rick having a couple of unfortunate offs throughout the race, dropping him down into P7. We got Chip Reese right on the bumper here, though, as both drivers come through the S's. Oh no! Chip catching a little bit of grass as he was coming through the final part of the S corners there. That's going to keep him down in a P8 there, unfortunately. A little bit of traffic coming up behind him. We've got the Cornstick keeping it clean coming out of the S's there up to the left-hander. Cornstick in P9 had to have seen that little bit of a wiggle from Chip Reese there. That delta is closing now to less than a second, separating these two drivers as both of them come up to the hairpin now to stay on board with Cornstick. Cornstick keeping it inside. Chip running a little bit wide through the hairpin there. That delta now down to 0.4 of a second separating. Cornstick practically on the bumper of Chip now as both drivers come out of the hairpin, coming up to the spoon corner now. Chip hard on the anchors, a little bit conservative still after having a couple bit of offs right there. Cornstick letting out a little bit there. Both drivers coming out of spoon now, down to the back straight. 0.8 of a second separating them. So Cornstick trying to find a little bit of slipstream, trying to close that gap and that delta just a little bit if he can. We got Ridge Raider sitting there in 10th as well. All three of these drivers really pushing their GT3 machines to the limit tonight. Less than a second and a half separating all three of these drivers right now. Cornstick still sitting in the slipstream, only 0.6 of a second, not able to pick up too much. Looks like he was not as clean through the final chicane as Chip was. As all three drivers come through the first corner now, all three drivers keeping it clean. Not getting each other's aero wash. Still less than 2 seconds separating all three drivers now. Let's pop back on board with Chip Reese. as he gets ready to come up to the point where he has a little wiggle through the last lap. Keeps it clean this time around as he comes out of the S corners. Not able to increase his delta though to Cornstick. Cornstick though letting off a little bit as he comes up to the left-hander, up to the first part of the Degner corners. He does drop down to over a second now. So Chip getting himself a little bit of breathing room to himself in Cornstick. But Chip almost going a little bit wide out of the second Degner. That's going to give Cornstick an opportunity. Pushes it hard up the inside of the hairpins, not able to make it stick. Chip giving him a switcheroo, coming back up, takes the position back. Cornstick all over the bumper. Wants to try to make another move as both these drivers come up to the Spoon corner now. Cornstick trying to make a move along the outside before it comes up. Spoon does. Cornstick holds on to it. All three drivers coming through Spoon corner now. To Cornstick taking P8 away from Chip Reese. Chip dropping down into P9. Now going to have to deal with Ridge Raider right on his bumper as well. Let's go ahead and pop on board with Ridge. Let's see if Ridge is going to do anything before he comes up here to 130R. Ridge having a little bit of look along the outside. Dangerous idea. Does let out of it before he comes through 130R. So Chip getting pushed a little bit wide there through 130R. It looks like manages to keep it on the track. Comes back through clean on the chicane. No idea what happened right there, with both drivers holding on to their positions and their cars. No Spinellas from anybody. It's going to give Ridge another opportunity to go on the bumper and maybe mount another attack as both drivers come up to the first corner now. Ridge thinking about the move on the inside through the first corner, thinks better of it, and decides to get right behind Chip again as all three drivers coming through the S's. Incredible battle for P7 here between Cornstick, Chip Reese, and Ridge Raider. We got the Foxes versus the Snakes in the AM lobby tonight. Who's your money on, everybody? Put it in the chat. Laundry sitting in a P10, coming out of the pits, picking himself up a fresh set of medium tires. He's got Smurf not far behind in P11. His medium tires the complete opposite, nearly worn. Going to have to go into the pits here within the next lap or two. We've got Brooks still sitting in a P12, managing to get himself ahead of Lucky after we watched Brooks have himself a little bit of a spinella through the first corner a few laps ago. Lucky dropping down in to P13 again. 35 minutes gone in this race. 25 minutes to go. Matt, thank you for the comment, buddy. TBSS girl, appreciate you coming around as always. Jenny, I remember. Thank you for coming around, rooting on your team. Got a couple people rooting for the Foxes in the chat, so let's go ahead. Let's check in with one of them. We got Tom the Tech out in front, still second gap separating himself and Rocket Man. Still sitting in P3 with Orfano, 15 seconds behind the pack right there. Sitting in P4, we've got Jesse Lucky 7 sitting in P5, second gap separating himself and Rick James. Rick will be up to P6 on some soft tires there after not having the best start of the race, starting to run some clean, consistent laps now, it looks like. We've got the Flying Fox Ridge Raider there sitting in P7. Cornstick going into the pits. This fuel tank nearly empty. Gigi, I appreciate your follow. Thank you for coming around. Come on, guys. Foxes versus Snakes. Let's put some real money on it. Let's not put real money on it. Like, no Twitch. We're not putting real money on it. Don't be like that. Cornstick going into the pits. He's going to have to refuel. That's going to give... Let's see if that's going to give Brooks the opportunity to get himself a little bit of an undercut here. Doesn't look like it. So Cornstick coming out of the pits, moving down to P11, picking himself up a fresh set of medium tires. Smurf sitting in a P10 now, picking himself up in position. Laundry as well. One down to P9. Laundry picking up medium tires here for the last few laps. We've got Ridge Raiders still sitting in a P7. Soft tires starting to give away about halfway so far. Rick James also running on some halfway room. Soft tires sitting in P6 in the Haltech Mercedes. Jesse P5 P5. A little bit of a gap separating him and Rick. Once a little bit of a gap separating himself and Orfano. Coming out of the final chicane now in P4. Moving up with Rovic running his own race here right now. It's fairly worn medium tires in P3. Quite a large gap separating himself and P2 Rocket Man. And Smurf having himself a little bit of an issue as he comes through the first Degner, having a bit of a spinella, unfortunately. Gets the car turned around quickly, though. Rejoins the track. Really starting to feel the lack of grip on those medium tires. And, oh, dirty tires. Putting him into the wall, picking up a little bit of front end damage. Fortunately, though, with the Sigma Challenge, we are running light tire wear. We are running light mechanical damage, so that will wear off here shortly. Tom putting in a consistent 2-minute lap times tonight, sitting out in P1. Soft tires nearly giving up the ghost, though. He's going to have to go in the next lap or two. Same with Rocket Man. His soft tires nearly worn as well. Over 38 minutes of laps in this race now. Rovic, his medium tires holding on just a little bit more. 12 seconds separating himself and Orfano in P4. Jesse picking up a little bit of that gap, though. 3 seconds less we checked in. Less than that. Separating him. Jesse sitting in P5. Victory Pace Racing 911. Healthy gap between himself and Ridge-Raider P7. Ridge-Raider P7 in the Flying Fox Mercedes. It's a good delivery he's got on there. 12 seconds separating himself from P6, 10 seconds separating himself and P8. That spot being occupied by the other McLaren of Victory Pace Racing's Chip Reese. 4 seconds separating himself in Laundry. Hornstick coming out of the pits on those fresh mediums. Oh no! Commentator's curse again as we pick up Brooks, having himself a little bit of an issue through the hairpin corner there. Gonna drop him down a couple positions, it looks like. Brooks having made up a little bit of time there. Gonna have to go ahead and get back on track quickly as P12, Mr. Smurf comes through the hairpin now. DOSFox in my chat, spinouts here really cost you, no doubt, as we just saw firsthand. Brooks losing a position or two there, dropping down to P11. Less than 20 minutes to go in round 2 SUZUKA AM lobby tonight. Got Rocket Man sitting out in P1 still. I'm sorry, Tom in P1. But Tom is going into the pits now. Let's see if Rocket Man's going to follow. No, he's not. Rocket Man's going to go ahead and go for the undercut here on completely worn out soft tires. Takes away P1 from him. There we got a yellow flag, though, for Rocket Man. Looks like Cornstick having himself a little bit of an issue there. Cornstick straight into the wall out of the first corner. Not sure what happened there. Chip Reese, P9, though. Not sure if he was part of the issue there or not. We'll have to take a look here later on. Guys, if I haven't mentioned it already, this series is being brought to you guys by A3T Sim Racing Us and sponsored by Six Sigma Sim Racing. These guys make great rigs. They don't cost an arm and a leg. They're giving us some great prizes for all of these races tonight. If you haven't already, go ahead and take a look at the chat link right there that I just sent in. Have a look at their website. See if anything tickles your fancy. They got a great lineup of everything from the rigs to the seats, to the wheelbases and the pedals and the accessories. Be there or kindly be square. Back to the racing. We got Brooks making his way up into a P10, not having the best night here, unfortunately, but still holding on, still showing some grit, managing to get the car back on track every time, sitting in P10. Mr. Smurf in P11 now in the Victory Pace Racing GTR. Pro race is going to be at about 10 o'clock. I don't know if we have a commentator for it, though. I will be live streaming my perspective from it as I'm racing in it. We'll have a couple of the other pro drivers' perspectives on Twitch as well. No doubt they would love to put their links. As I look over the Discord here, we might have ourselves a commentator, but we'll get to that here after this race is over. We've got 43 minutes elapsed in this race so far. Rocket Man now heading into the pits, having to give up on those soft tires. That's going to give Tom Tech an opportunity to get himself the undercut, taking P1 back for himself. Rocket Man still sitting in the pits as Jesse comes through the final chicane now. Looks like Rocket Man's going to go ahead and come out of the pits, though, safe from an undercut happening from Jesse. So Rocket Man holding on to P2. Jesse coming across start finish line P3 now. As he starts his 22nd lap. Still a healthy delta between himself and Rick James, 23 seconds, I'm sorry. Rick's soft tires really starting to give way, having moved up a couple of positions through some undercuts. We were just saying he is going to go ahead, go in and change out his soft tires, giving Rovic an opportunity to take a position away from him, or Fano taking a position away from them as well. Also, Ridge Raider popping into the pits. Check in with Laundry as he comes through the final chicane with Lucky hot on his bumper. So Laundry getting himself an undercut on Ridge. You're going to be able to get one on Rick coming out of the pits. Ooh, Rick managing just to come out in time. Not going to be able to get the undercut. And so Rick dropping down from P4 to a P6. Chopping a bit behind him there. Laundry sitting in P7, 1 second gap separating himself and Rick James. We got Lucky though right behind him. Laundry going wide, goes off through the first Degner. Lucky avoiding the contact there. He's going to go ahead and go around to keep his momentum. That is going to put a back marker between Laundry and Rick James there. Now Jesse going into the pits. Jesse running out of fuel and tire grip. But Rovic just now coming on to the back straight, not even through the final chicane yet. Let's see if Jesse's going to be able to hold on to P3. Stay on board with Rovic as he comes through the 130R now. Coming up to the final chicane. Rovic hard on the angles as he makes the right and then the left-hander through the final chicane, coming around through the final corner. Rovic crossing the start-finish line, getting himself in. Ooh, this is going to be close. Jesse just now coming out of the pits. You got Rovic catching up just behind. Jesse just coming out ahead in a P3 of Rovic. Less than a second separating these drivers as both of them come through the S's now. Beautiful shot of both of those 911s as they get ready to do battle here. Jesse sitting on the soft tire, Rovic on slightly worn mediums. He's really going to have to put in some work and really thrash that 911 if he wants to find a little bit of extra pace to make a move on Jesse here. Let's not forget we got Orfano right behind. 3 911s getting ready to do battle here as both all 3 of them come through the first Degner now. Hard on the anchors to coast it through the second of them. All 3 911s keeping it clean as they come up to the hairpin corner. And hard on the brakes. Rovic right on the bumper of Jesse.
Goes a little bit wide. It's going to give Orfano an opportunity to close his delta. Orfano, though, going a little bit wide, kicking up a little bit of dust coming out of the hairpin corner. Jesse finding a little bit of power earlier than Rovic out of the hairpin, trying to increase that delta. Goes wide, slides a little bit through Spoon Corner. That's going to give Rovic the opportunity to close that delta a little bit. He kept it a little bit cleaner there. Orfano still chomping at the bit of Rovic now. We have 3, 4, and 5. All three occupied by the 911s right now. As all three of them come through 130R corner, no arrow wash affecting any of them. I wonder if that's a Porsche thing. Conspiracy. All of them coming through the final chicane and through the final corner now. Still sitting with GT Rovic in fourth, Romano in fifth, and Jesse leading the pack of them in a third. .48 minutes elapsed, less than 12 minutes to go. Round 2 of the Sigma GT Challenge, sponsored by Six Sigma Sim Racing. Let's go ahead and check in with Laundry. Ooh, a little bit of a spin from Ridge Raiders. We check in with the Commentator's Curse. Picking him up, Ridge Raider dropping down into 8th. We're going to give Laundry an opportunity to pick up a position there into P7. Unfortunately not able to see what caused the incident there, so we'll see if there's anything filed after the race. Laundry sitting down in P7, a little bit of breathing room between himself and Ridge Raider. Ridge Raider, though, running on some new softs, finding a little bit more grip and pace. You can see that delta shrinking between himself and Laundry now. Sweaty, you're not wrong. The Commentator's Curse is real tonight. Laundry throwing that GTR through every corner they can. You really hear those medium tires screaming for dear life as Ridge Raider starts closing that delta now. 2 seconds separating at the start of this lap, now less than a half a second separating. Let's go ahead and hop on board with Ridge as he gets ready to mount his attack on Laundry. No issues for him as Laundry goes a little bit wide out of the corners there. Ridge keeping it clean and quick through the hairpin, starts increasing his gap to Laundry. 4/10 of a second separating these drivers. Laundry, though, not going to give up without a fight, sliding into the slipstream bridge as both drivers come up the Spoon Corner. Ridge hard on the anchors. Laundry, medium tires starting to show their lack of grip. He pushes really wide and off track through Spoon. What he says, please keep the camera off me in the program race. No guarantees, partner. I'm sorry. Laundry going wide through Spoon, coming on to the back straight up to 130R. Unfortunately, pushing wide and sliding. That's going to give a Ridge Raider all the breathing room that he needed. Unfortunately, 11 seconds separating him and Rick James. Rick James and Ridge running with about the same wear on their soft tires now. Neither one of them should have to pit for the rest of this race. Checking back in with Chippery sitting down in 9th. We got Mr. Smurf moving up one position in 10th, getting the blue flags though. I think Tom the Tech is back there trying to find his way through the pack. Cornstick dropping down the field into P11, unfortunately. Brooks losing a couple positions here, dropping down into P12. Lucky running with a quarter tank of fuel and soft tires, rounding out the grid here. Lucky running a little bit wide through the first corner. I have no words just because of Commentator's Curse, so guys, I got nothing. Nixie cheering on Rocket Man, moving up into P1 ahead of Tom Attack. Rocket Man half second ahead now. Tom Attack running on the medium tires. Rocket Man running on the soft tires, albeit a little bit worn down though. Rocket Man giving the flashers to Smurf, wanting him to get out of the Smurf does through the Dagner's, not the best place for it. Smurf going a little bit wide there through him, going off track. So I don't know, from a commentator's perspective, Rocket Man a little bit forceful through the Dagners there. No need for Smurf to have to move over through that when they could have waited until they got out of the hairpin or up to it. No doubt have an instant preview for that one, but Rocket Man still sitting out in P1. Tom dropping down into P2, less than a second separating these drivers. Both of them coming through Spoon Corner now. Rocket Man going wide, coming off the curb a little bit, kicking up the dust. Giving Tom and Tech an opportunity to find a little bit more grip, close that delta now, 7/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second. We got a yellow flag ahead though. Not sure who had the off there. We'll go ahead, we'll pick back up with Tom. With Tom, 8/10 of a second down off of Rocket Man. Rocket Man once again on the flashers, indicating his presence. The back markers behind him. Both drivers hard on the brakes coming out of the first corner. Rocket Man trying to find a little bit more grip on those soft tires and not able to. That delta still sitting within about 6, 7, 8/10 of a second now. Jesse far behind the rest of the pack now, 53 seconds on down in P3. Only 4 seconds though separating himself and Mr. Rovic in the 911. Orfano P5 in his 911 as well. Those guys were having an excellent battle earlier. Looks like we've got a little bit of a split happening between them now. Rick James still sitting in P6 in the Haltech Mercedes Laundry. Sitting in a P7 in his GTR. I thought the tail end of his car was going a little wide there. Just because of the change in camera angle. Ridge Raider running P8 in his Flying Fox McLaren Victory Pace Racing. Rounding out 9, 10, and 11 with Chip Reese, Mr. Smurf, and Cornstick, respectively. Brooks fighting through the adversity that is Suzuka sitting in P12, rounding out the grid once again is Lucky. Lucky comes through the Spoon Corner now, soft tires a little bit more than halfway warm. Trying to move this slipstream, trying to close whatever gap we can. Chip Reese there sitting in 9th. Let's check back in with the front pack here. Rocket Man hard on the anchors. But Tom having a spin coming through 130R. So Tom spinning through 130R. A little bit of contact between himself and Chip Reese there. Both of those drivers having a contact coming through the final hairpin. Chip Reese managing to get the car back on the track quickly. Let's check in with him and see how close his gap is. 7 seconds, so not too much damage done to Chip there. "56 minutes gone through the race." Checking in with the field now. We've got Rocket Man out in front, 7 seconds ahead of Tom and Tech. Both drivers nearly a minute ahead of P3, which has been occupied by Jesse, Lucky 7, and PPR 911. We've got Rovic, P4, also in the 911. Orfano, P5, Rick James, and the Haltech Mercedes in P6 with a 20-second gap separating himself and Laundry in P7. Ridge Raider rounding out the Flying Fox Racing Mercedes in P8. victory pace with Mr. Smurf in 9th, Chip Reese in 10th, Hornstick in 11th, Brooks sitting in 12th, 57 minutes gone through this race, less than 3 minutes to go. No post times as the final battle. Looks like we're going to see here 7 seconds, 48, 8 seconds. Orfano and Rovic with a 2-second delta separating these two drivers. 7 seconds separating P5 and P6. 27, or it's 20 seconds separating the next drivers. So our final grid order could be this right here. 2 minutes left in this race. Rocketman sitting in P1, 7-second gap separating him from P2 as he comes out of the S's now up to the first Degner corners. Rocketman still sitting out in front. We've got Tom the Tech out in P2 and Jesse in P3. All of these drivers putting on good lap times, consistent lap time tonight. Got Rovic sitting out in P4. A little bit slower lap times of 2:03, 2:04, but his consistency has got himself up into P4. 2 seconds though, separating himself and Orfano sitting in P5, himself running consistent laps. Less than 1 minute to go in this race. We're going to go ahead and hop on board here with P1 as he gets ready to finish out. Final lap for everybody. Rocketman still sitting out in P1. Tom still in P2. Jesse still in P3. Gonna go ahead and be the first one to finish his race, crossing the line, securing that P3. Let's go ahead and check in with Rovic. One more lap and Orfano would have made quite a bit of an issue for him, but Rovic is gonna go ahead and finish out in P4, leaving Orfano having to finish in P5. That's gonna leave Rick James and the Haltech Mercedes coming in P6. Laundry going wide through 130R. One more opportunity to be able to get ahead of Ridge Raider, though I don't think he's going to be able to capitalize on it. Ridge Raider keeping it clean through the final chicane there. Ridge Raider coming through the final corner. He's going to go ahead and cross the line. P7 is going to leave Laundry in P8. Hornstick finishing in P9. Mr. Smurf, P10. Chip Reese, 11. Brooks, P12. Lucky Alpha rounding out our field in P13. Excuse me, guys. Incredible racing from our AM lobby tonight, guys. Congratulations to all of our drivers here. That looked like an excellent time on their part. Let's go ahead and check out the results here again. Rocketman putting on a clinic of a Suzuka race in P1. Tom the Tech
doing the same, not far behind in P2. Jesse finishing up P3. It's going to be our podium winners tonight. Rovic rounding out P4, Orfano in P5, Rick James in P6, Ridge Raider P7, Laundry is going to be in P8, Hornstick we have in the P9, Mr. Smurf in P10. Victory Pace Racing finishing out with Chip Reese in 11th. Lucky Alpha in 13th, leaving Brooks in 12th there. Brooks, an unfortunate race for him, but as we said, managing to get it back on track every time. We love the perseverance. Guys, stick around. We're going to go ahead and do a lobby reset here in a bit. We're going to get the Pro-Am guys in here, get their qualifying underway. I'm not going to want to miss that one. We'll be back in a few.